The group pushing to build an $85 million sports complex in Jefferson County is making their case for why the state should pay for almost a quarter of the project. 7 News reporter Lexi Bruning has the story.
We see a community that needs to be serviced. We see a community that is calling for this type of facility.
And these are the faces behind the facility, a multi-purpose event center. One of them, Mike Sherman, former head coach of the Green Bay Packers. The three of them sat down with 7 News anchor Jeff Cole Wednesday morning. The proposed $85 million, 520,000 square foot Thousand Islands Event Center, located off State Route 3 in the town of Watertown, would be a lot more than a place to practice sports or catch a concert. These developers say it would be an experience.
We've got a daycare facility where somebody can drop the younger children off. Jimmy or Sarah finishes their practice. Now you get the family together, you go upstairs and you eat in the restaurant. So it turns into a 3-hour encapsulation within the building.
The project is contingent on state assistance, about $20 million. The other $60 million or so from private funding and bonding. But these developers aren't looking for a handout.
As far as the state it is an investment, it's not a gift. Because after a 5-year period, the state should be able to capture close to $142 million.
That number coming from taxes from people visiting the area, getting gas and staying at hotels or eating in a restaurant. It's expected about 300,000 people would stop at the event center every year, offering concerts, tournaments, and sports clinics with Division I coaches or professional athletes. The facility would even offer dorms.
The idea is to create a residency for people in those select sports. Most likely lacrosse, hockey, soccer.
The developers say the game plan is ready to roll, but the success of this project is dependent on that $20 million in state funding. The developers have asked for a meeting with Governor Kathy Hochul's office and are waiting to hear back. Lexi Bruning, 7 News.
You can watch the full half-hour conversation with those developers online. Find a link to that interview at WWNYTV.com.